Welcome to Beyond Sunday at Seymour Heights, a podcast created to go beyond the Sunday service experience, exploring some of the deeper questions of our faith and offering additional content from behind the scenes and from the cutting room floor. Today, we're sitting down with Harold as we reflect on this past year. So thanks for sitting down with us, Harold.
Thank you, Adam, for letting me sit in this chair beside you.
It's always a privilege. I do wonder, the last time we talked, you were getting ready to go on your retreat, and I know some time has passed since then. And so as you look at this past year, we really have been able to cover a lot of topics, a lot of different areas. And so has anything really stood out to you from this past year?
Well, it's kind of hard for me to really put that into perspective because whatever series I'm in is like, that's my favorite series. So right. I go back to and I think about the previous year. I think about what's happened in 25, and I do think that the series that we did around Easter, dealing with like coffee cup conversations, I think that was a series that I felt like was helpful for people.
Right.
Also, I really enjoyed. I was a bit apprehensive about going through the book of Daniel, but I really did learn a lot myself, and I found out from a lot of people. I felt like they were learning and being challenged by it as well. So that was exciting to think about in the year that's something that I just done the first 6 chapters in the past, but like doing the whole book was a good challenge.
It's a different discipline, right? I always love, though, like you mentioned, the coffee cup conversations. Anytime we can have that practical, like real world, here's how you can go and help your fellow man. That's really good. I think something else that stood out to me that was newer for us this year was your text devotion that you sent out to everyone that subscribed to it. So they got a weekly text devotion from Harold. Yeah. And so, what do you think about that?
I mean, I really enjoyed it. I do like to write, and I like the challenge of that weekly. Now, sometimes in the midst of the week, it was like, oh, when I'm going to get this finished. But overall, I really did. I did enjoy the process of writing, and since it was me each week, I really could kind of tailor make it. I didn't have to follow any particular theme. I could just kind of what was on my heart. And I've got some good response from people on that too. So hopefully it was something that the last one will go out next week.
Right.
And hopefully it was something that was challenging and applicable and helpful for people who subscribe to it.
One of the things that stood out to me was it was not in line with the sermon series, right? This was really seemingly authentic just from Harold's heart, right? Mm-hmm. What was on your heart, we're like, hey, let's just share it with everybody. And so there's a different perspective.
You get to see what a random thinker I am from week to week of what was on my heart and mind.
Yeah, but this next year, we're excited to broaden that a little bit. We're going to bring in not only the rest of our staff, but also our elders to help with that.
Yeah, we are very excited about just wanting to try to keep that momentum going with the weekly devotional, but kind of take some of the pressure off me by inviting the staff and elders to take part. So, and I think they're excited about it as well.
Yeah.
So that will be how we kick off 26 with different voices you'll be hearing from all year long.
It will be exciting. And speaking of kicking off 26, as we look into the new year, we are kicking off January 4th with a special service. So you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. So as we were planning for 26, one of the things that came in mind was January 4th. That first Sunday of the year, since we do our Thursday service, and we're not going to have one because of the way that Christmas and New Year's falls both on Thursday. Right. It was a standalone Sunday, and one of the things that just was impressed upon me is why don't we just do a very focused prayer service for January 4th, both the 9 and 10:30 service, and really challenge the church to grow in prayer. It's one of the areas I've been challenged in my own life. My prayer life. At times has felt like a ride at Dollywood, up and down like a roller coaster at times. And I want to be more consistent in that. And I think a lot of people would desire to be more consistent in their prayer life. So that Sunday, we are going to set aside the service. It's going to look differently that day. It's going to be open for first graders on up. So it'll be kind of a family Sunday feel. The staff will be sharing. There's going to be a guidebook that goes with it. There's going to be prompts for prayer during the service. So it'll include all the aspects of worship, but prayer heavy.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and we've already worked on it to the fact that we don't want it to be, well, we talk so much about prayer that, we got 2 minutes at the end to pray. Right. So we're trying to incorporate times of prayer within the service, and we're excited about it.
And bringing kids in is just that much better, right? Mm-hmm. Because we all need to be better at praying, but we need to take that spiritual discipline and take that to our children, right? This is where that conversation with the Lord happens, is in the practice of praying.
And sometimes it's the children who are much less inhibited to just talk to God.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need that reminder of just of how welcoming a little child is just to talk and pray about whatever it might be on their heart.
Yeah. I think that will be an encouraging time to get everybody together for that service, and really just kind of set us up for our new year. I know we have you've been working on the sermon calendar for the new year. Is there anything, as you just do a quick scan out, that you're excited about?
One particular thing, which will start after the prayer Sunday, is blind spots. And I that's really been on my heart a lot, of just what are and it's starting at the beginning of the year. So at that time when people are often making New Year's resolutions, I want to make changes in my life. One of the big ones is, what are those areas in our life that are blind spots to us, that are holding us back in our walk with God, in our transformation with God, in our discipleship? And so we'll be looking at a variety of different things, such as denial, anger, bitterness, things that other people might see them in us, but we don't. Hence it's a blind spot. And so that's one that stands out. And I also know then during the fall of 26, what we have planned is going through the book of 1 Timothy together. And I always enjoy going through a book study together. So there's a lot of things we're doing in 26, but those are two that kind of come off the top of my head.
Well, awesome. I appreciate you sitting down and taking some time just to share today. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think one of the cool things in the preparation for this prayer Sunday on the 4th, I've been reading a book that's called Lead with Prayer.
Okay.
And it's really a book to church leaders about the idea of prayer really does have to be the big priority in your life. And that's why I've been challenged by it, as I said earlier, with my ups and downs. So one of the things I've been reading is just there's been a lot of study done on our brain and the synapses going on in our brain. And some of the top research shows by neuroscientists show that when a person is praying or a person is dedicating time in awe of God, which I think you could call that prayer, then it has a major effect on the person. That after a few weeks of that, like 8 weeks of that, it can be found, and you can see a change in a brain scan in a person. Less stress, less anger, less pride, more teachable, more humble. That happens when we get ourselves in a state of praying specifically, praying regularly. And it makes sense, doesn't it? I think that when we are actually focused on God, it really should change how our brain works. So that's something I found fascinating. Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit about that on the 4th as well.
Yeah, I think how easy it is to get caught up in stress and get caught up in fear and get caught up in all these other things that really, when you change that focus, that those things, they're not gone, just gone, but they ease, right?
Well, even in the Sermon on the Mount, when Jesus is talking about don't worry, worry really, the Greek definition of that word really is a divided mind. When your mind is divided, it's going to affect how you think, how you interact with people. And when you take that worry away, your mind now can not be divided. It can be focused.
Right.
And Jesus knows that. He put us together. So he understands that about us.
Yeah. I thought about one other thing too, just around prayer that we talked about this last year, I think is, and maybe you'll have to correct me if I'm not going back far enough, but when you introduced this idea of praying for one person, like praying for one, and that's something we're going to be continuing. We're going to talk about that
we'll
in
talk
our service.
about it on the 4th as well. Yeah, we are going to lean into, we're going to really focus in on we're going to really focus in on our mission of how do we How do we fulfill the vision of passionately pursuing Jesus and challenging others? We do it by our walk. So it's worshiping wholeheartedly. It's attracting others to Jesus. It's living transformed lives. It's keeping our focus on Jesus. So we will incorporate and remember, keep that in front of us, the idea of who is our one? Who are we praying for? Because we are called to be salt and light for a purpose.
And we love to hear those stories, right?
Yes.
As staff, when they're like, hey, that's the person.
Yes, right.
And when they make the decision to come to visit us at church here, it's great. Well, I appreciate you again sitting down today. We want to thank Harold for his time. And as we wrap up today, remember that change can start with little moments where we can practice our faith and grow in our relationship with the Lord every day. We look forward to seeing you at church soon, and we'll catch you next time.